Voice actors, the unsung heroes of film, television, and video games, according to this article on forcesofgeek.com by Stefan Blitz. And I would kindly like to refute that statement with...
You serious?
I honestly didn't think that this attitude even existed. I was always under the impression that voice acting got an amount of praise equal to other aspects of any piece of media. After all, the performance of a cast, both live action and voiceover, is a major deal breaker a lot of the time. Then it got me thinking. Perhaps the voice acting craft itself is given this praise, but the same can't be said for the people who actually practice this craft. Not helping matters is the fact that in the most egregious cases, voiceover talent have been treated as interchangeable, like an entire wardrobe of clothes. Just recently, The Amazing World of Gumball has once again seen a change in its voice actors for its two protagonists, Gumball and Darwin. We've had this transition before from Logan Grove and Kwesi Boki to Jacob Hopkins and Terrell Ransom Jr., and now we have another transition, this time from Jacob Hopkins and Terrell Ransom Jr. to Nicholas Cantu and Danielle T. Hansley Jr. However, compared to the first transition, where Logan and Kwesi were given a wonderful send-off, the second transition came with next to no fanfare whatsoever. And then you have the trends that disappointingly enough happen within the industry. Voice actors getting paid much less than they deserve for the hard work that they've put in, questionable working conditions, and a lack of transparency between voice actors and their employers, to name but a few, giving these talented men and women more than enough reasons to go on strike. And they have. Now I for one am a massive fan of voice acting. It's a different beast from live action performances, but they're equal in the amount of dedication that they require. Whereas in a live action setting you can project your character's personality and emotion through physical and verbal means, in a voiceover setting you're restricted solely to verbal delivery. Unless of course you're also responsible for motion capture, in which case you get double the props. To show my appreciation for the craft of voice acting, I've taken it upon myself to put together my third top 10 list. I know it's been 1 year already since my last list. Martin, you're so late. What took you so long? And yada yada yada. Don't remind me. These are 10 of the many men and women in voice acting that I hold in high regard for one reason or another. One quick note before we start, the criteria that I've set for this list goes beyond just the actor's body of work and their vocal range. I'm also taking into account their qualities as a person and their commitment to the craft. For instance, when one of their roles manages to strike a chord with them on a personal level, or it conflicts with their morality and they speak their mind about it, that sort of stuff. Bear in mind that that's not always going to be the case for every entry on this list. We all clear? Cool! Now we can get the show on the road. This is the one and only C.R. Martin's Top 10 Voice Actors. Number 10. D. Bradley Baker. Here's a good way to kick off a countdown. D. Bradley Baker undoubtedly has an extensive body of work, which is enough to earn him a spot here, but his portfolio is a bit more different from those of the upcoming entries. Baker is the master of producing non-human sounds, from animal noises to more unnatural garbles. When you hear the guttural or high-pitched noises made by a creature of the wild, an extraterrestrial entity, or a merely bizarre monstrosity, chances are that he is the one providing those noises. Him or another actor with an identical portfolio, Frank Welker. And I'm not just making up that description. The man has an incredible range, going from, say, Appa to Momo and back again in the flick of a wrist to name but one example. Don't assume that Mr. D to the double B is restricted solely to not sounding like a human being, because he has speaking roles for days. His general flavor is the archetypal nerd, such as Elmer's Glue in the Powerpuff Girls, and... Elmer? And his hideous zit in the Fairly Odd Parents. That being said, his range in the speaking department is also quite wild. Matter of fact, one of his very first roles is Olmec from Legends of the Hidden Temple. Just for a bit of perspective, Baker has voiced the Dad in Cow and Chicken, Daffy Duck in Taz in Space Jam, Number 4 in Codename Kids Next Door, Beautiful Joe in Beautiful Joe, and for all my fellow voice acting hipsters, the Kingdom Hearts version of Waka from Final Fantasy X. Now that is a set of vocal cords as flexible as a rubber band. Number 9. Elizabeth G. Daly. I made a brief mention to Elizabeth G. Daly, once in my first impressions video for the Powerpuff Girls 2016. Kill this monstrosity with fire! And it looks like I get to talk so much more about her this time around. Sweet! Elizabeth G Daly, or E.G. Daly, is best known for the distinct boyish roughness in her voice that can easily fit the bill regardless of what sex her characters are. Said voice has given us classics like Tommy Pickles from Rugrats and its spinoff All Grown Up, Babe from the eponymous movie, Buttercup from the Powerpuff Girls, and Rudy to Booty from Chalk Zone. Daly's voice is the type that just screams adventure, outgoing. Take a look at the above list. Tommy Pickles, Babe, Buttercup, Rudy to Booty. These are all protagonists with a flair for adventure and are almost always the ones who kick one off, getting their friends to tag along in the process. Outside of voice acting, she also has a live-action presence, making appearances in Saturday Night Live, Valley Girl, and Pee-wee's Big Adventure, among others. And she's also a musical artist, not that a lot of people are aware of. And I don't blame them for it, since she's not exactly a chart topper, nor is it really a focus for her. No, her focus is spreading her talents for everyone to appreciate. And Miss Daly, may I just say, we appreciate what you do. Number 8. Steve Blum. Another voice actor that I made a brief mention to in the past. Other than the fact that his voice is filled with more testosterone than a gym full of bodybuilders chewing on T-bone steaks, Steve Blum is in that special breed of voice actors that have achieved equally high profiles in anime and Western animation. When you think Steve Blum, you immediately associate him with any single one of his masculine-sounding roles. Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop, Wolverine from Wolverine and the X-Men, Amon from The Legend of Korra, 80% of his roles in the Digimon franchise, such as Black War Greymon and Vemon's 2 Armored Digivolutions, Flamedramon and Raydramon, Vilgax from Ben 10, Eikichi Onizuka from Great Teacher Onizuka, Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat X. The list is endless. But he isn't strictly limited to just the toughest sons of bitches this side of the world. It's hard to believe, what with the baritone in his voice, but he's also capable of voicing some nerd characters and has done a few on the side. Through the slightest adjustment of his pitch, you'll be flabbergasted to find how well it fits a character of this mold. And he's also perfected this raspy type of voice that he uses for his more animalistic roles, the most famous cases of this being reptilian characters. 2 of these are Gilmon from Digimon Tamers and Reptile, also in Mortal Kombat X.
I'm Gilmon.
Right, I'm Takato.
Takato-man?
I'm not a Digimon. Takato.
Takato-man. I am the lost Zateran. You are but a reflection. Let us find out.
That's Steve Blum for ya. A voice actor that narrowly escapes the typecasting pigeonhole through his propensity for experimentation. Good job, Steven Man. That was rubbish.
You suck!
Number 7. Jeff Bennett. It's safe to say that more than 90% of the entries in this list are legends in the business, the next entry included. Step right up, Jeff Glenn Bennett. This man is your go-to choice for males, usually within the mid-20s to late 30s age bracket, with a hint of young social awkwardness and insecurity thrown into the mix. You want a dorky, embarrassing, but still loving father? An over-muscled wannabe playboy living with his mother? A ruthless, cunning, and dangerous leader of a criminal organization? Or how about an acrophobic pterosaur? Yes, 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 and yes? Well, Jeff's the guy for you. He carries a distinct, recognizable baritone that you can pinpoint even in some roles that aren't meant to have it. Just compare the voice of Dexter's dad and the voice of Johnny Bravo to each other. Have a listen.
Son, your mother and I have been around the block more than once, okay? There's nothing you can show us that'll make us freak out.
Say, you smell kind of pretty. Wanna smell me?
It's not as pronounced as Steve Blum's, but still identifiable. I give Steve Blum credit for making the dynamics of his voice quasi-universal across the characters he voices, but I like the more diverse dynamics of Jeff's voice because I find his different ranges to be more tailor-made for their respective characters. Think about it this way. Wouldn't you find it weird if Jeff used his Elvis Presley-inspired Johnny Bravo voice for Dexter's father, or vice versa? Or if you heard Shaolin Showdown's Clay Bailey talking like American Dragon's huntsman? Don't you think it's weird? Because I do. It's a personal thing, like the rest of this list. It's hard to describe, but hey, if it works, it works. Number 6. Rob Paulsen. Rob Paulsen is awesome. When someone goes out of their way to show appreciation for every single birthday tweet sent to them, you know you have a stand-up guy, and his skit with Doug Walker, further proof of how awesome he is. In terms of his voice acting ability, the man is a bona fide master. Screwballs, geeks, troublemakers, a galactic space-time enforcer, and a teenage mutant ninja turtle, he's done it all. You would not imagine a voice that can go that high be done by one such as Rob Paulsen, but it's true, it's damn true.
Oh, it's true! It's damn true!
I gotta stop with these WWE references, they're bad for my mental health. Rob's voice is one of the most recognizable in the voice acting business. Its malleability allows it to fit virtually whatever character he's voicing, from Yakko Warner to Pinky.
Surprise! Hi, I'm Pinkie Pie and I threw this party just for you! Were you surprised? Were you?
Not that Pinky, to Major Glory to Donatello. And if certain roles don't exactly call for said high pitch, then that's not that much of an issue for him. It's where his slightly lower pitch, rough boyish voice comes to play, which is responsible for characters like Rowdy Rough Boy Brick and Buck Todd Russell. Now sure, those last two were great performances by Paulsen, but come on, it's all about that semi-falsetto. That glorious, glorious semi-falsetto.
Well, world peace would be nice, and a Chevrolet in every driveway, and into pestilence and famine and pestilence. Until then, we're just browsing.
That's right, Turkey. Nobody messes with Ditto!
What could possibly go wrong?
Hey, everybody! The sun came up again! How great is that? Oh, yeah! Got a drum. 1, 2, 3.
Well, mostly glorious. Rob Paulsen, aiming high and hitting high with that goofy classic sound. Number 5. Nancy Cartwright. Ah, Nancy Cartwright, the voice that spoke to a generation of young liberals wishing to break free from the bonds of a right-wing dominated society. Bart Simpson himself. Or herself. Or themselves? Whatever. The original animated bad boy. Or is it bad girl? Why am I thinking too hard about this? Anyway, Nancy is a voice acting presence that can go down in history on the basis of her origins alone. Bart Simpson was a one-boy phenomenon whose irreverence resonated with the American youth of the time, spawning plenty of memorable moments and sweet, sweet marketing material that capitalized on the attention that The Simpsons was garnering. Much of this phenomenon is owed to Nancy Cartwright. What I meant with that basis of her origins alone statement is her peculiar treatment as a voice actress back in the show's heyday. Back then, no one knew or even heard of Nancy Cartwright. Well, very few people knew of her anyway. Fox made a conscious effort to disallow interviews with Cartwright so that no one would know that the yellow-skinned bad boy was voiced by a girl. It's an injustice to Cartwright and a thinly veiled attempt at secrecy given the fact that the cast list would be revealed during the end credits. And I'm not even going into the conspiracies that the Fox higher-ups helmed against the original voice cast, Cartwright included. But that really didn't matter in the long run, seeing as the stars remain in perfect alignment for Nancy to this day. In addition to her signature role, she's given her boyish voice multiple spins, from the rougher finishes of Kearney and Nelson Muntz to the more carefree flourishes of Ralph Wiggum and Todd Flanders. Oh, and even though The Simpsons was her star-making moment, it wasn't her first voiceover rodeo. She's previously lent her voice for shows like Richie Rich, Fantastic Max, Fat Albert, and The Snorks. Also, yes, I am aware that Nancy can and has voiced female characters, which I appreciate, but her brightest spots are ironically when she's voicing for the opposite sex. Nancy Cartwright may very well be the quintessential voice for the preteen and adolescent boy. Adventurous and plucky, or reserved and cautious, she fits the bill perfectly. Number 4. Mark Hamill. God, this list was very hard to make. I know you guys want to lynch me for not putting him in at least the top 3, seeing as he's a very talented and upstanding man, but personal impact also plays a role in this list. And while Mark Hamill did play a role in helping me find an identity in my formative years, it's not to the same degree as the top 3. So, Mark Hamill. If we're going primarily by how illustrious the careers of these people are, then yes, Mark Hamill is guaranteed to be in the top 3. Is there anything that this man hasn't done? Well, apart from sculpting statues of himself, but we don't exactly know if he's a qualified sculptor. From Luke Skywalker, to the Joker, to Larry 3000, to Firelord Ozai, to Skips, this man is a show stealer. The utility in his voice rivals that of Rob Paulsen, in that with minimal adjustment, it can be applied to whatever character archetype he has to portray. For instance, Ozai's and Skip's voices both have a rough finish to them, distinguished only by their differing pitches. Likewise, the Joker and Larry 3000. Nearly identical in pitch, but one voice is slightly rougher than the other. And that's what makes Mark Hamill, and come to think of it, almost all of these entries, especially the upcoming 3, so damn good at what they do. Their ability to make their trademark voices feel unique to any given situation, with minimal to no adjustment. As far as Hamill goes, whether in live action or animation, he retains that rough, gritty charm that's carried him through one generation of media to another. He's one of those cases where his age doesn't affect him in the slightest, and even actually works to his benefit. Listen to his first few days of voicing the Joker back in Batman the Animated Series, and then compare it to his more modern renditions.
Rumor has it, Christmas is a time to share with family. And since I don't have one of my own, I decided to steal one.
Nice of you to say, but you of all people should know there's plenty wrong with me.
Shocker, isn't it? Wherever he may be, whatever he may do, the Force is strong within Mark Hamill, now and forever. Number 3. G Daly Griffin. The lass with the sass and nass, the bitch with the pitch. Not that she's an actual bitch in person, because she's not. She's actually a sweetheart. Well, if you disregard her joining her fellow VAs in their ongoing anti-Trump tirade. Gee, stop making this hard for me, will ya? What I'm trying to say is, G Griffin is a voice acting queen. She cemented herself for taking up the mantle of bitchy but not always inherently evil characters. There's an air of arrogance in the way her roles sound. A commanding tone that puts the entire world around her little finger. It's not just exclusive to her noteworthy roles like Vicky and Azula. Kitty Catwell, Mandy, Sam Manson, Yumi Yoshimura, Catwoman, even Frankie Foster. I think it's because of the bass in her voice, which can be slight or pronounced depending on the character. You could say it adds a seduction to her voice, and that's what makes her characters, and I guess to an extent G Griffin herself, the type that you just love to hate. And when she isn't being provocative with her delivery, she always has her shrill, drill sergeant-esque manner of speaking to leave a profound impression. You know who I'm talking about. Vicky, Lola Loud, for good or for bad, I leave that entirely up to you. Obviously, she's not restricted to these archetypes. If she weren't as flexible as she is, she wouldn't rank this high. Just off the top of my head, there's Daphne Blake from Scooby-Doo starting from as early as 2001, Kimiko from Shaolin Showdown and Shaolin Chronicles, Queen Moon Butterfly and Jackie Lynn Thomas from Star vs. the Forces of Evil, and that's barely scratching the surface. But all in all, come on. We know that her best roles are her bitchiest ones, and needless to say, they are fantastic. Don't stop being you, Miss Griffin, you wonderfully devious, deviously wonderful woman you. Number 2. Tom Kenny. Well, you can't have a video dedicated to voice acting without mentioning the self-proclaimed man of 1,000 voices, so let's get right to it. Tom Kenny has damn well earned his Man of 1,000 Voices moniker for a good reason. He has to have the largest range of all the voice actors in this list, though between him and my number 1 pick, that's debatable. Be it for the sake of comedy or drama, Tom Kenny is more than capable of working his roles to impeccable effect. Obviously, he's so attuned to comedy that his comedic roles are bar none the best in his portfolio, thanks to his trademark high, squeaky, and upbeat voice. But when he wants to evoke emotion from you, holy goddamn, he will pluck the feels right out of your chest. Only the best of the best can create heart-wrenching moments with one of the goofiest sounds in the world. For his actual voice acting ability, the aforementioned trademark voice has become very synonymous with the voice acting craft. Half of it has to do with the high profile of the shows that Tom took part in, i.e. SpongeBob SquarePants, and the other half is the sheer memorability of that one voice. As tailor-made for humor as it is, why do you think SpongeBob is as rife with memes as it is? It doesn't have to be used for that one purpose alone. Commander Peepers, anyone? AKA the one guy who keeps Lord Hater's life from being undeniably fucked? Or how about Simon Petrikov, the Ice King? Of course, I won't discount the other voices he's capable of. You've got a nasal, bratty little punk, a witty, on-the-ball narrator, a cowardly Spanish monster, and an adventurous young dragon. Once again, that's barely scratching the surface. And it says on Wikipedia that when the Popeye movie does come out, I mean really, who the fuck wants a movie about emojis? Was there even a demand for that? Anyway, Wikipedia says that Tom is set to play the titular sailor in the Popeye movie when it eventually comes out. That could be just the site's quality control being lenient again, but since one of Tom's earlier roles is Mitch Mitchelson in the Powerpuff Girls, and Mitch's voice has hints of Popeye to it, I can see that as a possibility. To make a long story short, Tom Kenny, we hope that you and your vocal cords stay beautiful. Time for the honorable mentions. These are voice actors that don't really make the cut because they don't meet enough of the criteria that I've put in place, or there just wasn't enough info on them for me to dig up, but still deserve a measure of recognition. Number 1. Tara Strong. Was there ever any doubt? Sorry for the predictability in my decision, but goddammit, it just had to be done. Tara Lynn Sharondoff Strong, a true legend in a business composed of legends. If I were to compare the voice acting industry to a kingdom, Tara wouldn't be the queen, she would be the goddess. There is so much I could say about this woman that I don't even know where to begin. Maybe I'll just jump right into her CV. This woman's repertoire has to be the most extensive out of any voice actor. Just to give you a frame of reference, Tom Kenny's IMDb page has archived 408 acting credits under his name, with around 380, give or take, for voice acting. Tara's page has 477 credits, with 445 of them being voice acting credits. That just goes to show the passion and commitment that Tara has for her profession. Over 400 voice acting roles over the course of a 31-year career? That's dedication. As for her actual performing skills, Tara's range is peerless, rivaled only by very few people. Having lent her voice to numerous roles and having stepped out of her comfort zone more than enough times, she is a master at what she does. From Hello Kitty, to Bubbles, to Timmy Turner, to Dill Pickles, to Riku, to Raven, to Ben 10, to X-23, to Harley Quinn, to Twilight Sparkle, she has each of these vastly diverse voices nailed to the point where she can do them on command. And given that she is still able to nail her roles right in the head even after all these years, she shows no signs of wear, tear, and rust. You need her to do Bubbles? She'll gladly do it.
The Bubbles you know is gone!
Shoutouts to Shadowstreak, our favorite edgelord, for that little joke there. You need her to do Raven? She'll gladly do it.
I respect that you don't eat meat. Please respect that I don't eat fake meat.
You need her to do Twilight Sparkle? She'll gladly do it.
I read all about the prediction of Nightmare Moon. Some mysterious objects called the Elements of Harmony are the only things that can stop her. But I don't know what they are, where to find them. I don't even know what they do.
Tara's love for the voice acting field is so profound that it even permeates to the way she presents herself in real life. She is as down-to-earth as you can get, easily approachable and beyond friendly, and is never afraid to speak her mind. She's passionate to the point where she will even voice her hesitations when performing certain roles or doing certain pieces of dialogue for certain shows. Like with her time working on Drawn Together, where she expresses her discomfort here and there when lending her voice for Princess Clara and Toot Bronstein due to her personal beliefs and Jewish background. I will always admire that. Fame and fortune have a way of sucking out your integrity as a person, and I'm glad for people like Tara who don't fall victim to that. But, and a big but, Tara's personality is also a double-edged sword. As down-to-earth as she is, she can cause quite a stir with her vocal outspokenness on certain matters, especially on Twitter. I know the Trump administration has been polarizing at best and poorly received at worst, but there's no need to bring it to a discussion that has no place for it. And I have to eat my own words a little bit, I know, but her fame has proven to have gotten to her head, even using it in analogies when spouting her anti-Trump rhetoric. I have all the respect in the world for Tara Strong, for who she is as a voice actor and as a person. I remember my youthful days where I would find her name etched in the credits of a television show, or a movie, or a video game, and my mind would be aglow with realization from seeing that name so much. Those were the times. And out of that respect, I would kindly like to ask her to stop for a moment and reflect on what she's doing, what impact her actions are leaving, what she's impressing into the minds of her fans when she goes on her tirades. I might be blocked by her for this on Twitter, but I need to say it. She is a better person than this. That being said, I don't want to leave you guys on a sour note, so I leave you with more positive words out of that same respect. Tara Strong, God bless you and your heavenly voice. Who knows how different things would have been without it. Without you. Thank you, Tara. Thank you for everything. And I mean that with every fiber of my being, from the bottom of my heart. And that is the one and only C.R. Martin's top 10 voice actors. Now, like with any countdown, this one is sure to cause even the smallest rift amongst viewers. I can't tell you to not be passionate about your own views, but I can at least ask you to be reasonable in how you show them. With that, I'd like to ask, which voice actors do you guys like? Anyone in particular? Anyone that you admire? Anyone from my list or not from my list? Be sure to let me know in the comment section. And as always, if you like what you see and want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button, share and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And you can also stay up to date by following me on my social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. Last but not least is my Discord server, Replicant D Execution, where you can come in, sit a spell, and have a nice little chat with yours truly. That should be it for today. I'm the one and only C.R. Martin, and it's time for me to do my singing exercises. Ciao for now.
You've opened up my eyes, you're so